On one hand, it was for her physical safety, and on the other, I didn't want this artist to fall victim to the darkness of human nature. Afterward, I went to great lengths to arrange meetings with industry big shots, hoping Shan could seize the opportunity and make connections. With their help, Shan achieved some success in her early 20s. But not long after, her senior sister from the same period organized this performance art piece, which became an instant hit. Shan hated me deeply, blaming me for blocking her path to fame. Later I found her more resources and she barely spoke to me. That night I picked her up from a bar. As we walked on the overpass, she suddenly tried to push me off. She choked me, her eyes clear and smiling as she said, "How dare you fool me with those worthless resources? You ruined my opportunity. How do you deserve to live? Next time don't be a roadblock." Thinking of this, I shook my head and carefully organized the documents on my desk, saying, "As long as she's happy, isn't that enough?" The assistant fell silent. Just as Shan reached the door, she turned around and quickly walked back, her face filled with astonishment. "Two-way, are you really agreeing to let me do this performance art? I'll have to stay completely still for 6 hours, completely at the mercy of others. Do what you think is right. I have no objections," I shrugged, smiling slightly. Shan crossed her arms, looking at me with a haughty expression as she circled around me. "Have you changed? Even if you agree to let me do the performance art, I still won't agree to go with you to that so-called elite gathering in the art circle. Don't think you can pressure me with your influence. I'm not going. I need to focus on preparing for this performance art. Whoever wants to meet those people can go ahead. I'm going to become a top-tier artist in the circle. What's the point of hanging around with you in the world of fame and fortune all day?" I interrupted her. "If you don't want to go, then don't. It's up to you." Shan looked at me suspiciously. "You're not just agreeing now and planning to drag this out later, are you?" As if she had figured out the reason for my unusual behavior, her face suddenly filled with resentment, as if she were looking at an enemy. "Two-way, are you trying to fool me again? All these years I followed the path you set for me, but I'm still stuck in mediocrity. Every time I come up with an idea, you shoot it down, either it's not achievable or it's not feasible. You control my body, my thoughts, and now even this performance art? You're going out of your way to interfere? An artist needs freedom, not a cage. You're suffocating me. I'm a person with my own thoughts, not some decorative piece on display." I finished organizing the last of the documents in my hands, brushing off the dust and said calmly, "Calm down, Shan. It's just an exhibition. The ownership is yours. I won't interfere. Do whatever you want, find your own people to handle it. You don't need my approval, you're in charge." Shan stared at me in shock, as if she were looking at a ghost. I continued, "I won't arrange anything for you anymore. I only thought I was doing what was best for you back then, but I didn't realize you held such a grudge against me. From now on, every decision you make is your own, and you'll bear the consequences yourself. Not having to clean up after someone or deal with their messes. This kind of life is what I've always dreamed of. Shan is my savior. In my past life, I poured my heart and soul into her, fearing that she might ruin herself, so I took charge of all her affairs. People in the studio jokingly called me a housekeeper. Back then, I was in a car accident with the car half hanging off a cliff, 1 foot already in the grave. It was Shan who pulled me out of the car. A girl who had just turned 16 dragged me for over 2 hours. My life was given to me by Shan. Later, Shan and I became best friends. Knowing her dreams, I used the limited resources from my family to set up a studio for her, dedicating myself to managing it and helping her achieve her dreams. Back then, besides her regular studies, I took her to learn art all over the country every week, persisting for 3 years. The paper plane tickets filled an entire metal box. I guided her from obscurity to a modest level of fame, every step paved with my efforts. Having died once, I know life is short, and only by maintaining a healthy body can one succeed. "Are you threatening me? Threatening your lifesaver?" Shan narrowed her eyes, leaning closer to meet my gaze. Two-way, you're nothing special," Shan said, clicking away in her high heels. I sighed. Shan thought I was ungrateful, but I had already repaid that life. On Friday morning, the studio was empty. I called the assistant and found out that Shan had taken everyone to the warehouse to work on the set. As soon as I entered, I saw Shan discussing with her senior, Chi-bai. She was very happy, gesturing animatedly to express her ideas. Chi-bai responded from time to time, and the two of them formed their own little world, leaving no room for others to chime in. "I think your ideas are great. Many of your previous concepts could be realized. Why didn't you do them?" It's all because of Two-way. She controls my body, confines my thoughts. I even saved her life, and you don't know how she once gave me the cold shoulder, repaying kindness with ingratitude. Holding an exhibition is like asking for her life. She just keeps pressing me down. Senior, you understand me. I envy you so much, free and happy. Chi-bai took out various small props and souvenirs, handing them to Shan, who was deeply moved, as if she had found a soulmate. Over the years, I've given Shan many gifts, even sacrificing everything I had, but I've never seen her show that kind of expression towards me, not even a simple thank you. Shan would say thank you to strangers, to the cleaning lady, to the delivery guy, but to me only disdain, as if all this was my duty. I smiled and interrupted their heartfelt conversation. I took out the resignation letter I had prepared yesterday and handed it to her. Shan, remember to read it. Resignation letter? Two-way, you're actually resigning? How dare you resign? Shan was instantly displeased. Chi-bai stepped forward, holding my hand, frowning slightly. Two-way, Shan has been quite good to all of you. Why are you resigning? Don't act on impulse. She's just straightforward, not malicious. Young people are easy to talk to. If there's a problem, communicate in time. If she's done something wrong, I'll talk to her for you. What exactly are you dissatisfied with? Shan snorted, her expression arrogant. Two-way, who do you think you are? An ungrateful wretch. I always knew you had ulterior motives trying to threaten me with resignation. Fine, I'll grant your wish. But it's you who's being fired. Pack your things and get out today. Finance. Pay her wages on the spot. This is not a place for you to step foot in. Don't show your face around here anymore. The once noisy warehouse fell silent. Yushan patted Chi-Bai's shoulder. Senior, since you have time, why not join my studio? There's a spot open now. Yushan completely ignored my presence, only engaging with Chi-Bai. I wasn't surprised at all. Having been with Yushan for so long, I knew her character all too well. Anyone could lose face, but not her. There's another important reason why Yushan hated me so much in my previous life. There was another important reason why my best friend from my past life hated me so much. The night before senior sister Chi-Bai went viral, a fire broke out in the warehouse, reducing all the works Yushan had prepared for her Paris exhibition to ashes. Combined with the performance art she had previously proposed, this incident catapulted senior sister to fame. Worried that Yushan might not be able to handle the emotional toll, I kept the truth from her until the hype around senior sister had died down. When I finally told her, Yushan was devastated. She couldn't accept that she had missed an opportunity because of me, and she even believed that I had blocked her path to success. From that moment on, Yushan became neurotic, treating me like an enemy. She resented herself for saving me back then, and hated me even more for what she perceived as my constant suppression of her. She felt I controlled her and rejected her ideas and designs. To appease her, I secured many resources for Yushan, but it wasn't enough to fill the chasm in her heart. One drunken night, she pushed me off an overpass, letting the rushing traffic crush me into pulp. As I fell, I saw her lips form the words, "This is what you owe me." I owed her, yes, and now I've repaid it. I stood there, looking at the warehouse filled with mixed emotions. I interrupted their conversation. "I think you might have misunderstood something. The ones who should leave are you." Yushan raised an eyebrow, disdainful. "What nonsense are you spouting now? I've given you enough face in public. Don't force me to call security to throw you out." I smiled at her. "Everything in this warehouse, including the land, is my private property. It has nothing to do with you or the studio. The contract expires today. You have until the end of the day to move out, or face the consequences. Also, the studio, when you first started out, you had nothing. I was the one who funded the studio and hired the staff. And by the way, I'm also the finance manager." Yushan seemed to have never considered these issues. Her face darkened, almost dripping with anger. She had just fired someone, only to have that person turn around and kick her out of the studio. It was humiliating. Yushan had poured all her talent into art, and anyone who saw her works would praise them endlessly. In my past life, I didn't tell Yushan about the warehouse fire, nor did I tell her about what Chi-Bai had done. On the night Yushan got drunk, I had gone to see Chi-Bai. By chance, unintentionally overheard on the rooftop that it was Chi-Bai who burned down the warehouse and took away Yushan's artistic achievements. She even expressed regret that Yushan hadn't stuck to her performance art idea, or else she could have publicly ruined her. Before I could figure out how to tell Yushan, I received news that she was drunk. When I saw her in such a sorry state, I couldn't bear to imagine how she would react if she found out how her senior sister had treated her. Just as I was torn between telling her or not, Yushan killed me. She choked me, making it hard to breathe, and I died before I could say anything. I never liked Chi-Bai from the start. Maybe it was intuition, but I felt she wasn't as harmless as she appeared. Instead, she was like a venomous snake lurking in the shadows. Contrary to my attitude, Yushan always wanted Chi-Bai to join the studio, but I blocked it. Yushan trusted and admired her senior sister so much that even when I told her Chi-Bai had forged paintings, she thought I was jealous and lying to drive a wedge between them. She mocked and ridiculed me even more. As it turned out, my intuition was spot on. Chi-Bai, having run out of talent, couldn't stand seeing her junior sister outshine her, and had been secretly suppressing Yushan. This malicious woman had always been portrayed as a naive, innocent figure in Yushan's mind. I wonder what expression she would have if she found out that the senior sister she trusted so much had plagiarized her ideas, burned her works, and wanted to destroy her completely. Just thinking about it excites me. Sunday was the day Yushan's performance art was set to begin. I gave her one day to move out, which was already more than enough kindness. I returned to the studio to collect my things when there was a knock on the door. I was still tidying up some small items on the desk. "Come in." It was Chi-Bai. I frowned slightly. "What are you doing here? If it's because of me that you and Yushan had a fight, I can apologize and I can leave. I'm really sorry. Yushan was just saying things in the heat of the moment. Don't take it to heart." Chi-Bai's eyes were slightly red, and his voice trembled as he spoke these words. I replied somewhat exasperatedly, "Who do you think you are? Don't overestimate yourself. If there's nothing else, just leave." Chi-Bai left with a pale face. A few minutes later, Yushan strode in, frowning. "Are you really in such a hurry to leave? You know I was just saying those things out of anger," I retorted. "Your words are as meaningless as farts, completely unreliable." Yushan's face turned red, as if she had made up her mind. She closed her eyes and shouted, "Fine, I was being petty. I'm sorry, okay? I take back what I said about firing you. Withdraw your resignation letter, and let's go back to how things were before." Yushan's face flushed red, as if she had made some kind of determination. She closed her eyes and shouted loudly, "I was too petty, I'm sorry, okay? I take back what I said about firing you. You withdraw your resignation letter, and we'll go back to how things were before." The room fell silent, and when she didn't hear me respond, Yushan opened her eyes and saw that I was still packing my things. Her expression turned displeased. "Do you have to be so heartless? Just because I said something in anger, you're throwing away all these years of our relationship? What do you take me for? I've already apologized to you. Can't we just go back to how things were? What more do you want from me?" I calmly replied, "I don't want anything. It's just that we're done, that's all." As soon as I finished speaking, Yushan exploded. I gave you a chance, I even took the initiative to offer you a way out. You ungrateful two-way. I knew you had ulterior motives. You said you were helping me, but now the studio is yours, the warehouse and everything in it is yours. And me? I've just been working for you all these years for nothing. You really are heartless and ungrateful. I should have let you die in that car accident back then. After saying this, Shan slammed the door and left. In the end, she just wasn't skilled enough. But the fact that she could go this far was beyond my expectations. After taking my things, I left the city the next day. I had to attend that banquet I had mentioned to Shan before. In my previous life, I had dragged a reluctant Shan to that banquet, where I met the influential person I had missed. She had just glanced at Shan and immediately said that this person had poor character, would not achieve great things, and would bring misfortune to those around her. Hearing this, I suppressed my smile. Shan and I had been together for so many years, and we were already deeply intertwined. Moreover, she was my savior. In such a situation, our fates were tied together. If one prospered, so did the other. If one fell, so did the other. But I couldn't do anything. If I offended the powerful, it would be difficult to survive in this circle, and Shan's path would become even more thorny. So I had no choice but to leave with a cold expression, pretending it was just jealousy from others. Little did I know that what happened later would prove that person's words true. Unfortunately, this time I looked through all the attendees at the banquet but didn't see her again. It was as if my previous life had been a dream, and that person was just a figment of it. After leaving the banquet, I landed at the airport late at night, and my phone started ringing incessantly. It was a call from the police. I hurried to the police station with my luggage. The first sentence I heard upon entering. It must have been two-way. She burned the props I needed for the exhibition, and all my works. She must resent me for firing her and breaking free from her control. That ungrateful wretch. I almost died in there, officer, you must arrest her. Shan saw me come in and lunged at me, flailing wildly. I should have let you die in that car accident back then. How have I wronged you that you would ruin me like this? What could I do? Of course, seek help from the police. Officer, help me. I quickly hid behind the officer. She's slandering me without any evidence. I just got off a plane. This is defamation. The duty officer firmly held onto Shan, letting her flail in the air to no avail. Who would have thought Shan had such a lively side? The duty officer looked at me with a complicated expression, seeing that I was enjoying the spectacle without concern. I soon went home. It was simple, logically untenable, plus I had been on a business trip on Saturday and only landed at the airport early Sunday morning. When would I have had the time to do such things? How naive. I don't know how Shan spent her early morning, but in the afternoon, her reset performance art event proceeded as usual, though the props looked quite worn. Everyone was drawn to this peculiar performance art. Within 6 hours, no matter what the audience does to her, they will not bear any legal responsibility. There are 91 props on the table, and the audience can use any item to do anything they want to her. Shan sat quietly on the stool, not even blinking. At first, only a few people came in, all with a sense of curiosity, treating it as a novelty. Few approached her. Slowly, some girls came up to take photos with her, and Shan remained motionless. A child came up to touch her face, looking at her mother in amazement. Mom, she's warm, are wax figures warm? Seemingly attracted by the child's voice, more and more people gathered around Shan. Some used lipstick to scribble on her face, clapping and praising, taking photos. Some helped wash off those scribbles. Shan looked at the little girl in front of her who was applying makeup, thinking that human nature still leans towards kindness. Until someone picked up scissors and cut Shan's clothes to shreds. Shan could see it all, she couldn't stop it, she could only comfort herself that there are all kinds of people in the world. It's just the outer clothes being cut, no big deal, people wear bikinis at the beach showing more skin. But this action was like opening Pandora's box. The nightmare began. And this act was like opening Pandora's box. The nightmare began. The man cut the clothes into shreds, but carefully inserted a rose into her ear, the thorns on the stem firmly piercing the back of her ear, blood dripping down her earlobe. Shan's eyes were filled with tears and pleas. The man, as if admiring a perfect floral arrangement, looked at her with admiration, taking photos from various angles and pasting them on the wall behind him. Before Shan could catch her breath, the next spectator tore open her shirt, seeing that Shan seemed unresponsive. His eyes sparkled with desire, eagerly embracing and kissing her, the stench of fermented herring filling Shan's mouth, choking her with tears and snot. As if disgusted by Shan's snot, he suddenly slapped her, the sound crisp and loud. These actions were not only not stopped but instead escalated. Someone shouted, "She really isn't moving, go on." The onlookers behind seeing this scene did not hesitate. 7 or 8 people rushed forward in a swarm. Someone used a knife to slowly cut open her skin. Someone inserted thorny roses into her abdomen. Someone kissed her scarred skin, while others drank her blood. By the time they had satisfied their desires, Shan was covered in wounds. Her face was full of bruises, and there wasn't a patch of unbroken skin on her body. Despairing tears streamed down Shan's cheeks. She was powerless to escape. Several people carried Shan to a bathtub filled with water, the blood instantly mixing with the clear water, leaving a vivid red. Is this really okay? What could go wrong? She said herself that anything is allowed, and she even signed a waiver. We're just helping her realize her own ideas. Exactly. Look, no one is stopping us. Even if she dies here, it's what she sought herself. Who knows, maybe she has some strange fetish. Which normal person prepares props for others to harm themselves? But what but? Hurry up, I want to enjoy myself properly. After saying this, the man impatiently took off his belt and stepped into the water. Bang! Police! Hands on your head! Everyone, hands on your head! The police rushed in with guns drawn. The people standing in front of the bathtub instinctively tried to flee. Upon hearing the police, Yushan burst into tears, crying uncontrollably. The faint sound of an ambulance siren could be heard in the distance. Unable to hold on any longer, Yushan lost consciousness. At this moment, topics such as the 6-hour performance art, the inherent evil of human nature, and the initiator of the reset performance art have surged to the top of the city's trending list, with their popularity remaining high for an extended period. The live stream room was now empty, but the comments were refreshing at an astonishing speed. Oh my god, this is really impressive. The streamer is too reckless. There wasn't even a security guard. What if someone really died? Thankfully, she was live streaming. She's really bold, testing how evil human nature can be without any protective measures. The streamer must be desperate for fame, letting herself be treated like a rag. She's even a somewhat famous artist. Is art this wild now? I can't appreciate it. I watched the entire process. The streamer was severely injured, especially in her abdomen and lower body. Calculating the streamer's psychological trauma area. I'm speechless. What are you all arguing about? This event was initiated by the person herself, and she signed a waiver. Even if she died, those people wouldn't be held responsible. It's a willing exchange. What do you know? Didn't you see her crying? She obviously didn't want it. Crying doesn't mean she didn't want it. Maybe she cried from pleasure. Now that the streamer's been taken to the hospital, I'll wait for updates. I second that. Countless people were discussing the impact and social significance of this performance art. Opinions varied widely with all sorts of takes. By the time I found out about this, Yushan had already been sent for emergency treatment. So far, there has been no official announcement or update. Meanwhile, videos of Yushan being mistreated, groped, and abused during her performance art instantly went viral on major platforms. The assistant told me that after Yushan was rescued, her hospital room was surrounded by reporters. Their eyes were gleaming as they tried to squeeze into the room, eager to capture the first-hand news. I never expected that Yushan, in pursuit of more attention, had secretly started a live stream. There were no security personnel on site, which was utterly foolish. The trending topic remained at the top of the hot search list for a long time. Yushan's account inbox was flooded with private messages, and her comments were filled with all sorts of vulgar language. As soon as she regained consciousness, Yushan spent money to suppress the trending topic and deleted the related videos posted online. This was not the kind of fame she wanted. The doctor said she had suffered significant psychological trauma and should not be overly stressed. Yushan made a phone call to Chi-Bai, but the assistant didn't know what was said. After hanging up, Yushan handed her phone to the assistant for safekeeping. Meanwhile, Chi-Bai achieved great success at the art exhibition in Paris. Her paintings were highly praised by many experts. Comparisons were drawn between her and her former classmates. Yushan once again climbed to the top of the hot search rankings. This time, Yushan's past experiences were compared with Chi-Bai's. Public opinion online was divided, and Yushan retreated to the hospital, avoiding the spotlight. While going for a checkup with the doctor, Yushan overheard someone saying, "Oh, that's her. Her senior sister's paintings are really beautiful, and I heard she even won an award. I don't understand why she would engage in such performance art and end up like this. Isn't it common for people to have evil tendencies from birth? Her senior sister is much more accomplished. I heard those paintings are worth over 100 million. Yes, I know that painting Illusion. It's priced at 76.58 million. As she passed the nurse's station, Yushan accidentally glanced at the person's brightly lit phone. In the video, Chi-Bai was being interviewed by reporters, with a wall full of paintings in various styles behind her. Yushan stared at Chi-Bai and those paintings, completely stunned. Those paintings were supposed to have been destroyed in the fire. How could they possibly be with Chi-Bai? Yushan snatched the person's phone, frantically speeding through the entire video, even opening the comments section, desperately searching, only to discover that she had become Chi-Bai's stepping stone. Hey, why are you grabbing my phone? Where did this lunatic come from? Give me back my phone. If you break it, you'll pay for it. Yushan was shoved aside by the person, and this scene unfolded in just a few seconds. Before the doctor could react, Yushan, dragging her still healing body, stumbled back to the ward, leaving the doctor bewildered and shouting, "Hey, you haven't finished the examination. Why are you running? What a lunatic. Who is this person? Some kind of gloomy crawling monster?" Back in the ward, Yushan rummaged through her assistant's bag, retrieving her own phone. She repeatedly called Chi-Bai, but all she heard was, "Hello, the number you have dialed is temporarily unavailable. Please try again later." Yushan roared, venting her anger by sweeping all the items in the ward onto the floor. The doctors and nurses outside didn't dare to enter. The assistant secretly called me, trembling with fear. "Two-way, what should I do?" Yushan is frantically calling Chi-Bai, and she even smashed the hospital room. She's acting like she's possessed. Before the assistant could finish, Yushan snatched the phone and called Chi-Bai. Within seconds, the call connected and Yushan screamed, "Chi-Bai, you betrayed me. Those paintings were all mine. How dare you plagiarize my work? Did you start that fire?" On the other end of the line, there was a gasp. "What are you talking about, junior sister? How could those paintings be yours? We were both in the fire. I almost died. How could I risk my life like that? You must be mistaken." Mistaken? Those paintings were meant for the Paris exhibition. Only I and Two-Way have seen them." Yushan suddenly paused, her tone low. "Senior sister, tell me the truth. Where did the painting come from? You don't want us to meet as fellow disciples at the police station, do you?" Chi-Bai fell silent for a moment. "Junior sister, I think this is a conspiracy. It must be Two-Way's doing. She wants to see us distrust each other." Before Chi-Bai could finish shifting the blame, Yushan suddenly asked again. "Chi-Bai, I'm asking you one more time, did you steal the painting?" On the other end of the phone, Chi-Bai laughed and explained, "Of course not, junior sister. How could I do something so despicable? We're fellow disciples after all. Where are you now? I'll come find you." The assistant rushed Yushan to Chi-Bai's interview location. Yushan, wearing headphones, repeatedly listened to the recordings. As soon as she got out of the car, she headed straight for Chi-Bai's dressing room. When Yushan arrived, Chi-Bai was carefully applying her eyebrow makeup. "Oh, junior sister, you're here. Perfect timing. I think there's something fishy going on, but unfortunately I have to rush to an interview now. Wait for me to come back, okay?" As she was about to leave, Yushan blocked the door, not letting her go. "We need to settle this, Chi-Bai. What's going on? Junior sister. You're always saying things that no one can understand." Slap. A crisp sound interrupted Chi-Bai's unfinished sentence. Yushan slapped her across the face. Yushan's eyes were red with anger as she roared. "You were the one who set the warehouse on fire. And you were the one who secretly took the painting. Why would you do this? I treated you like my own sister, and you betrayed me like this. Are you even human?" Chi-Bai remained in the position of being struck, her hair covering her face. She slowly turned to look at Yushan, who was red-faced and furious. Unbothered by the stinging sensation on her cheek, she raised an eyebrow with a hint of smugness and said, "You're making baseless accusations, insulting me and slapping me without any proof. I could sue you for defamation and assault, Yushan. Besides, do you have any evidence?" "Evidence? Of course I do, Chi-Bai. I doubted everyone except you." Yushan played the recording and Chi-Bai's gentle voice came through, detailing her scheme. Chi-Bai hadn't expected her to actually have evidence. Her fingers twitched for a moment before she sneered, her tone turning hostile. "Humph, Yushan, you think you can pin this on me with some dubious audio? Who are you trying to fool? If you can do this, I can fabricate a whole pile of evidence too. Is that so? The surveillance footage from the day of the warehouse fire clearly shows your face. All of this can be verified by the police forensic department. You've hit rock bottom, Chi-Bai. Now you're relying on stealing others' paintings to gain glory. What's the difference between you and a sewer rat?" Yushan's words were full of scorn as she tore away Chi-Bai's facade. Chi-Bai's face turned cold. She stopped pretending and lunged forward, snatching Yushan's phone. She quickly formatted it and tossed it into a glass of water. The entire process took less than 3 seconds. After destroying the evidence, Chi-Bai looked smug. "Oops, my hand slipped. After the show, I'll have my assistant send you a new one. Now, no matter what you say, it's useless. I'm the celebrated genius artist, while you're just a mediocre artist who can only put on boring lowbrow performance art exhibitions." She leaned closer to Yushan and whispered, "It must have felt terrible, being violated like that. Even though there was security, not a single one stepped in when your life was in danger. Guess where they all went? Isn't it such a coincidence that so many perverts showed up?" The light and shadow split Chi-Bai in half, making her look like half an angel and half a devil. She murmured, "If it weren't for you live streaming to chase clout, you would have died in that human slaughter." "Oh right, it was called Zero. Sometimes greed can actually save your life. What do you think?" Yushan, furious, grabbed Chi-Bai's shirt and pinned her against the makeup mirror. "You did all of this? Why? I've never done anything to you." Chi-Bai looked at the ferocious Yushan and said, "Why? Probably because I can't stand you. Why do you have everything handed to you on a silver platter? Resources, connections, and yet you don't appreciate it. Why? I've worked my ass off and what I've gained is less than what you casually let slip through your fingers. And you don't even cherish it, recklessly squandering what I've been dreaming of. You flaunt it in front of me every day, showing off how someone is paving the way for you, while all you have to do is sit back and enjoy a peaceful life. Yet even then you're still not satisfied. Luckily, you're a fool. You believe whatever I say. You drove two-way away, blinded yourself, and severed your own support. I can't believe how naive you are, Yushan. Performance art? Ha ha ha, did you really think that idea came to you out of thin air?" Chi-Bai yanked Yushan's wrist and said, "Did you really think the idea of doing 6 hours of performance art was your own? I just planted the seed and guided you. Did you really think you were some kind of prodigy? Aside from your paintings, you're worthless." Yushan, pale-faced, said, "I'll give you one chance. Return what's mine, or face the consequences." "Ha, yours? Who can prove it's yours? Your so-called evidence is gone, Yushan. After all this, you're still so stupid. Get out of my way, idiot." Chi-Bai shoved Yushan aside and strode off to give an interview to the reporters. Yushan turned to her assistant and asked, "Is everything handled?" "Yes, it's done." Chi-Bai sat on the sofa with rows of reporters seated below, waiting to ask questions. As she was discussing her junior sister with the host, the large screen behind her began to play. "Set the fire on Saturday night, and take the opportunity to move those paintings out. Yushan's paintings will be destroyed, and she won't let the performance art exhibition go on the next day. Make sure to pull the security and lure in some people with unique tastes. It'd be better if she died, since she signed the waiver. Then block the entrance and clear the place when the time's right." "Destroy her?" "Yes, destroy her. She's just a fool. Those paintings are mine now." Several recordings played in succession, and some recognized Chi-Bai's voice. Then the conversation between her and Yushan in the lounge was also played. Chi-Bai, panicking, pulled out a recorder and shouted, "Turn it off. Turn it off now. Director, where's the director?" Seeing no one respond, she grabbed her gown and rushed toward the control room. But before she could reach the door, she was swarmed by reporters. They bombarded her with questions and Chi-Bai, sweating profusely, just wanted to escape. Unfortunately, the reporters were like hyenas, relentlessly pursuing her. In the afternoon, Chi-Bai, looking utterly disheveled, once again climbed to the top of social media's trending topics. At the same time, the recording of Chi-Bai's framing spread across the internet like wildfire. Chi-Bai attempted to suppress the trending topic, but to no avail. The heat continued to rise, and the controversy online grew increasingly intense. "Hey look, the tables have turned. I knew things weren't that simple when that person. You know, not knowing the full picture, I won't comment. The value of that statement is still rising. How can someone be so malicious, using such cruel methods to destroy someone for their own selfish desires? The recordings Shan got were from me. I was worried Chibai would frame me, so I had people stationed nearby and even installed some devices. Luckily, everything went as I expected. I left Shan and went home, and I heard about the whole thing from her assistant. Chibai became a pariah, despised by everyone. After that, some people who followed up said they saw her by the river. Others claimed to have seen her on the highway, dressed in rags. As for Shan, unable to accept what had been done to her, she developed severe depression and withdrew from the art world.